when you look at City overall, Kyle Walker looks like he's going to leave. They keep saying Bernardo Silva isn't leaving, but all the stories say that he is. Gundogan's gone, Laporte. There's another one. Mahrez has left. Do you think they've taken too much strength in depth away? Because most City fans think they're only going to sign Guardiola and one more person. And then I'm looking at it and thinking to myself, lost a lot of strength in depth. They've lost some of the best players in their club's history. And I know they've got Pep. And I know they've got great resources. But historically in football, even the best run clubs, when some of your greatest ever players leave, there's inevitably how many teams replace their greatest ever players with somebody as good or better? In the history of football, it's so hard to do. Do you feel like, I'm not saying City can be bad next year, but do you feel as though City's exits are kind of opening the door a little bit for Arsenal, for Liverpool to step into and take their title away from them?
Absolutely. And some people might think it's insane, and I understand where they're coming from. But here's the thing, some people just kind of are giving up on next season's league title. I'm not. I don't think it's all over. I don't think it's done. I don't think City are just guaranteed winners. Because in the Premier League, the reality is you're never guaranteed to win anything. You've got to go out there and earn it. Now, there is something, and this is something I apply to my own football club, which we'll speak about later. There is something in football I do believe in called too much change. I think if you change too much as well, it also affects your team negatively. My thing is with City is as good as they are, as good as their manager is, as good as their club is, when it comes to them, they are selling too many players. That's also the unfortunate reality for Manchester City. I think they're getting rid of too many players as well. They're kind of sat there essentially selling maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces who all got involved in their league title next season. And I think City never start quick anyway. City never start quick anyway. The only year they started quick is the Centurion season. Other than that, they usually always start slow. So if Liverpool or Arsenal can start really quick in the first 10, 12, 13, 14 games, most likely Liverpool, of course, because we might have a different winner. If it's Arsenal, I don't trust them in April, March, and May. That's the problem. But with Liverpool, I do trust my club in those moments. So yeah, that's what I think. I don't think they're guaranteed a league title. I think they should be worried because they are selling too many people and they are getting rid of too many players. This is the reality of football. You cannot sell 10 players and act like nothing happened just because you're Man City. Yeah. Life doesn't work this way.
There's this comment here from Alex, who's a City fan. It says Gundogan is our greatest player. Have some shame. Gundogan is one of the greatest players in Man City's history. For me, that is undeniable. Mahrez is one of your greatest ever wingers. Bernardo Silva, one of your greatest ever wingers. I don't believe you've ever had a right back better than Kyle Walker. To lose all 4 of them in one summer is huge. And the thing is, people act like every player that City sign have been amazing for them. They haven't. That's why there was a huge. That's Bravo replaced by Edison. The amount of money that was spent on fullbacks because the first intake from Pep didn't work when he first came in. The Ferran Torreses of this world and a number of others that were bought for the wings and midfield didn't work, and you had to buy other people. Now that's not a detriment. That's not a dig at Pep. All managers, Shankly, Fergie, Clough, the greats, they've all bought duds. The point is there is no guarantee that if you replace those 5 players with 5 new signings, that they're going to be at the same level as Kyle Walker's, Gundogan, Silva's. And the reason I say that is because they're some of the greatest in your club's history. I look at Man United, and case in point being, we had teams that were as great as the City side. We won trebles. In my opinion, we still haven't replaced Gary Neville. We still haven't replaced Wayne Rooney. We still haven't replaced. We may now be getting towards replacing Rio and Vidic a decade later. We have got bad recruitment. I don't think if City get it wrong, they'll get it right very quickly. Does that make sense? I'm not saying they'll keep buying the wrong people, but the idea that the replacement for Mahrez is going to be as good, the replacement for Gundogan is going to be as good, I think that's delusional. And these guys have been so good, so clutch, so clinical for you for a long period of time. It's hard, even with Pep's ability, to replace that. And history shows you that's the case. It's hard. Look at Barcelona. Have Xavi and Iniesta been replaced? No. You look at Real Madrid. Vinicius Jr. is doing bits, but they haven't replaced peak Benzema. They can't replace Ronaldo. It's impossible. Like, I don't even think they've replaced Sergio Ramos. When you have players of this, like of the top level for your club, replacing them is so hard because that level of player, they're finite. They're so hard. There's scarcity of them. And then you've got to try and replace 5 across 5 positions in one summer. You're weakening your team. City are still the favourites for me, but they are weakening their team to a point where they're opening that door for rivals. And listen, that's why Arsenal doing their business early, all their main players in for pre-season is so important. Liverpool got 2 of their main players in. They're moving players out. They'll get some more in. United, 2 through the door now. Hopefully another one next week. We need them in sooner. And the fact City bought no one so far. I know they've bought in Kovacic, but we all know he's good. But he is not Gundogan. He's not Bernardo Silva. Like, they've bought nobody in yet. That's not good. That's not good, especially when you've had a team that's won a treble. And it's going to be really difficult to remotivate them next year, based on Pep's own words. Listen, I'm not writing them off. That would be dumb. But this notion of, they're City, they'll be fine. Football has demonstrated to us in the past that's not true.
And also, let me say something to this Alex guy. I don't know why Alex is so upset when Terry says, like, Gundogan is one of your greatest ever players. Remember, you're Man City, with all due respect. Like, your club started 10 years ago. So any player who has 5 good seasons for you is automatically a legend. That's just how life works for you. We understand that. So you can't be getting triggered when someone says he's a legend. Kyle Walker, who's your better right back than him in your entire history? Gundogan, other than the last 10 years, he's probably better than any midfielder that's ever played for your football club. So all this, listen, like, we get it, you won the Champions League and stuff, but you're still like, you just became relevant. So any player that has 5 good seasons, 3 good seasons, people are talking about Haaland and Aguero conversations. That doesn't happen at my football club. That doesn't happen at Terrace Football Club, but your club is new. So it's normal. You just have to get used to it.
Yeah. And look, when I said about replacing my legends, it's very hard to become, to surpass Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney. It isn't just ability. You've got to win so many trophies to do that. But it's all there is an ability element, and it's hard sometimes to do that. And we've messed up. Well, I think we're getting towards it now, Man United. We're getting towards. I look at the squad we've got now, and if Onana is as good as I think, you've got Casemiro, you've got other players we're now linked to. I think to myself, well, these guys could be in the conversation with past great teams. Bruno Fernandes, for me, could play for all of Fergie's teams. Does that make sense? He would have been in the first team or in and around the first team squad. There's no doubt. And that's how you know if your team's buying quality. Do they get into your greatest sides? And when you see Pavard being linked to replace Walker, well, he doesn't. He wouldn't even fit in your top 3 right backs in the Sheikh era because Bakary Sagna, Zabaleta, and Walker all go above him. So you're buying someone that wouldn't even be in your top 3 right backs in the last decade. So that's the point I'm making. It's are you bringing in the quality that could compete with your greatest ever teams? Because that's the level that you need to be at. So yeah, look, people can say it's copium all they want. I'm pointing this out. City are still the favourites. But they're opening that door.
I don't necessarily think it's guaranteed, though. I don't think it's guaranteed City are the favorites. It really all depends on the summer transfer window. It depends on what we do. It depends on what Arsenal do. I think we could go into a world in which maybe City aren't the favorites. If they mess up this Guardiola deal, they mess around, they go get Mark Guehi or some shit, then no, I'm not going to sit up here and talk about City being the favorites. I'm not going to be delusional for me. So I stick around till the transfer window ends, and then we talk about who's the favorite.
Terry, Pep doesn't buy the established players. He turns them into monsters. Well, everyone in the world knew who Ilkay Gundogan was when you bought him. Everybody knew who KDB was. He was young when you bought him. I think KDB might have come the year before, to be fair, maybe. But Haaland, you're telling me Haaland's not an established goal scorer when he bought him? Riyad Mahrez was already a Premier League winner. You spent £100 million on a player in his mid-20s in Jack Grealish. You guys have bought some really good established players in the past. Yes, Edison was one of the best goalkeepers around when you bought him. Kyle Walker, one of the top right backs in the Premier League when you bought him. And I'm just, these are just off the top of my head. Yeah, he's bought some young, what's his name? Rodri came in very young, fairly unknown. They bought Alvarez. And of course, there's those examples. But to act like Pep's never gone out and bought players that the whole world is buzzing about, it again is a lie. Again, I'm not saying he doesn't do that, but acting like he's never bought an established player is a really weird thing to say. And you're right, yeah, Kanji, no one rated him. So again, I'm not saying he doesn't do it, But to say that he only buys players that nobody rates and turns them into stars isn't true. And it isn't true he turns every player into a star. Otherwise, Bravo would still be your goalkeeper.